Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the SH Alien Warrior. Says so right there on its cool unique base. We don't often see fancy bases. It's the same mold as normal, but it's got this cool alien paint scheme on it, so that's kind of nice. Standard SH Figuarts display stage though, so he does come with that. Comes with a few other accessories. We'll look at those real quick now. These are the two hands that he has for gripping things. Then he has 4 alternate hands. We have 2 that are wide open and 2 that are not quite as wide open for various posing. You can pretty much do what you want with those. We have one of the eggs, and we have one of these guys, which I believe is one of the things that comes out of the stomach after you have a baby inside you. I'm pretty sure that's what they call a chest burster. You guys know I'm not the biggest alien buff in the world, but I think that's what that's called. So let's look at this guy. Before we get into the articulation and sculpt and everything, let's talk about the paint. It's not just glossy black. There's silvers and grays painted in there to give it lots of texture and shading. The teeth are painted silver, which is appropriate, and we have this translucent piece on the top of the head which has the sculpted and painted parts on the inside. So the paintwork, while fairly basic, is still really well done, and you can even see some variation in the different sections. This piece is a little darker than the parts around it, so the paint job, for being rather simplistic, is still effective and appropriate, so that's a good thing. Now, as far as the sculpt goes, it doesn't get much better than this. This thing is incredibly well sculpted. There's no part of it that doesn't have detail. Even the elbows, all of the joints and hinges and everything have sculpted details. Everything on this thing is incredibly well done. It's really impressive. For not being a big Alien fan, I'm even tempted to get one of these. This was loaned to me by Drunk Panda Inc., so thanks to him for that review. And same thing with this guy, which I'll be reviewing also, the Wolf Predator. Just for a quick size comparison, the Alien is bent a little bit. That's the size comparison. So if you stand the Alien up, he's actually going to be a little bit taller, so let's do that real quick. You're probably not going to see him standing up like this too often, but we can do that for a size comparison. And I guess they're pretty much the same size. So, a little interesting comparison. We'll look at the Predator separately though. Now, as far as articulation goes, to be completely honest, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you all of the articulation, just because there's so darn much of it and it's so intricate. I may miss a thing here or there, but I'm going to do my best. So we'll start with the simplest part first, which are these guys back here. They seem to just be on swivels, which I'm sure technically are ball pegs, but all you really get is a little bit of play and a swivel. So those can move around like that. And then we have this tail, which is incredibly impressive. Even though it can't hold its own weight a lot of the time, every single little vertebrae on here is a separate piece, and it's articulated. It's, well, maybe not these back pieces. I'm not sure. Nope. Okay, so these come in little chunks, these tiny pieces back here, but every one of these is a separate piece. I was really impressed by that. That's incredible. Unfortunately, it still doesn't give you that much posability, because the way it's sculpted, there's just not that much play in between. And like I said, it's a little floppy, but still really cool. And if you use a display stage or something, you'll be able to get this posed around how you like. But that's pretty impressive. And now for the head, we have a whole bunch of articulation going on. The head itself can rotate. The top part of the head can kind of pivot on the rest of the head. The jaw is articulated, so we can open up the jaw, and then the little mouth can come out. It's a little loose. It won't actually fall out, but it doesn't have any sort of controlling aspect. So that's going to be a little tricky for posing, but it shouldn't be too bad. And it's cool that it's included. And then we can move the head up and down right here. Inside, we have 2 different parts for the neck. So this piece moves independently of this outer piece. It's just, I'm not even sure how to describe this. The way it's made is kind of like layered, and I don't know. The head pops off a little bit too easily, I think, but it does help me to show you what kind of things we have going on. We have this back piece here to hide the joint. We have the double ball peg right here, and then we have these kind of floating pieces to hide the rest of the articulation. So that's kind of cool the way it all works together. I do wish it didn't pop off so easily. That's a little bit of a bummer. We're going to leave it off for now though. For the shoulder, it's a little limited due to the sculpt, but let's see if we can get to it so we can show you. It's basically just a ball hinge, but it's a little bit too limited, I think. It's a kind of disappointing. I'm not sure what they could have done. Maybe make these softer pieces so you can tuck the shoulder in there. It looks really good, but it's a little bit too limiting. So that's going to be a standard ball hinge with a bicep swivel. Then for the elbow, we have a single hinge here, but the way it works is it's kind of actually a double hinge, because you can kind of pull the arm forward. Instead of just bending it like that, you can treat it like a double hinge and pull it forward more and then bend it up, so you get better than 90 degrees. And that's a really well designed hinge because it's very well hidden, so that's cool. And you can rotate at either end, so you get a bicep swivel there and a forearm swivel. And then the wrists have standard ball hinges in there. Even though it's hard to see, they have a standard SH Figuarts style ball hinge that'll swivel on both ends, so that's kind of cool. And again, very well hidden. The torso articulation, we have a diaphragm joint for the ribs, so it's a ball peg for the ribs on top of this piece. Then this piece is also on a ball peg, so those are two pieces of articulation. And then we have another ball peg, and these might be doubles, I'm not sure, since I can't pull it apart since it's not mine. But they might be double ball pegs, at least single, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 technically for the entire abdomen. The ab crunch is not there. It just, well, I guess it's not horrible until you get to the bottom. I mean, once you get to the bottom, it's not bad. So for the upper body, it's just a little bit for a swivel, a little bit of leaning. But once you get to the bottom, you actually get a pretty good ab crunch out of it. And it's really, really well done. So that's awesome. I didn't even realize that was there. For the hips, it's pretty standard for SH Figuarts. We have the hinged ball pegs, so that'll hinge like that so you can bring the legs around better. Then they can move around on that socket, of course, and then we also can move around the thigh around the piece that holds that socket. So we have pretty decent articulation for the hips, and even once you pull them down, it hides very well due to the sculpt, so that's kind of nice. The knees are pretty standard SH Figuarts style knees, but they are very well done. We don't have too much overlap like we have sometimes on the upper leg, so that's good. I like that, good range of motion. And then for the ankles, we have, what do we have exactly for the ankles? A ball peg. It feels like a double ball peg for the top, and then maybe a single ball peg at the bottom. I'm not entirely sure, but we do get a really good range of motion, and it looks good. And then lastly, the toes are articulated, I think just by ball pegs, but they have decent range of motion if you want to do that. I mean, they're not great, but they'll definitely add to the posability of the figure once you play around with them. So it has a pretty nice array of articulation for such a strange and unique sculpt. It could have easily had limited articulation, but it's not bad at all. So I'm going to go ahead and post some photos here at the end of this video so you can see what he looks like in action. But if you're an Alien fan, I think you should probably get this for the price it is currently, which is around, I think, 40, maybe 50 bucks. You're getting one heck of a figure. Before we go, I'll tell you how tall he is, just so that you have an idea if you're not familiar with the SH Figuarts. Standing mostly straight up and down, which you may not want to pose him that way, but he stands almost 7.5 inches tall, straight up and down. So definitely has some size to it, and once you hunker him down, he'll probably be about 6 inches tall in his more standard type of pose for a standing up alien. So definitely recommend it. It's a very cool figure, and even for not being a giant Alien fan, I really like this guy, so I would pick it up if I was you. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.